Hi there, I'm Kimberly Edwards with cookingwithkimberly.com. This is my beloved mommy, Ingrid Turner. Check her out on ingridturnertoday.com. Today we're making Pirozhki, which is a Russian-German Mennonite recipe that's basically a bread bun that looks like a torpedo shape, and it's filled with ground meat and tasty stuff. So we've already done, today we've showed you how to scald milk for this recipe and other recipes. The part one of this video, check it out as well. It's the exact same title, it's just part one. Everything will be included in the blog post on the website, cookingwithkimberly.com. So what we have already done is we've shown you how to mix the whole dough. The dough has been rising for the last 30-40 minutes, and this is what we've come up with. Show.
This is, remember, the bowl that we put the little round ball of dough. Here we are. It's risen beautifully. It's overflowing the container. And that's exactly what we want.
Exactly.
Smooth and beautiful.
Now it's warm. You don't want this to get a draft. Speaking of, I'm closing the window.
So I cover it back up and only expose the part that I'm going to...
But I want to show them on the camera. I'm going to bring it closer.
Okay.
Be gentle with it. It has all kinds of beautiful air. I hope you can see that consistency. There you go.
Yes.
Okay. What you're doing is you're taking a part of this dough out of the bowl. We're going to show you how to do one tray of these on a cookie sheet. You're just going to repeat the same thing over and over until you're all done with the cookie sheets, okay?
Okay, so here is the dough. I'm going to cover part of it back up. I'm going to pinch off probably 1/4 of it for now, because my hands aren't big enough to accommodate using that whole thing. Okay, so I'm covering the part I'm not using back up. Now I'm going to pinch off 15 golf ball size pieces of dough. Okay, so here we go.
Now you're using a pastry sheet that is lightly floured so that things don't stick.
Yes, we just have some bench flour here to use as we go if things get a little too sticky. I like to put half of them in first.
So this is going to make approximately 3.5 to 4 dozen Pirozhki. Correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm just dotting them into the flour very lightly. And now I'm going to press them down.
With the heel of your hand?
Yes.
You're making them about, what, 2.5 inches
whatever it
in diameter?
Okay, now I'm going to turn them back over to expose the floured side.
Okay.
And we're going to roll them out. I should move these out of the way.
Okay.
Okay.
Now this is kind of rustic.
The meat there.
Yep, this is rustic. It's not...
Everyone won't look identical. They'll be similar, but not identical. And that just makes it taste better because it looks homemade.
Now my mother had already made this meat mixture yesterday because she created a whole bunch of these for a shower for my cousin.
Yes.
A wedding shower, and she's making the rest of them today for us. So we don't actually have the video today for you on how to make the meat filling. However, in the near future we will, because she makes these quite often. And the instructions and the ingredients are in this blog post on the website. Make sure you check it. In the meantime, here we go. Oh, it's warmed up. At this point, it's warm.
Just barely warm. Yes. Because I had it in the refrigerator, and I don't like to cool the dough off with the cold ingredients.
Okay. When you're baking, we use really heavy-duty cookie sheets.
Yes.
Not everyone has heavy-duty ones.
Worth the investment.
They are worth the investment. You are not going to grease them. You're not going to flour them. You're leaving them just like this.
I've had them for about 30 years. So they really last. Okay. Here we go. I might move this out.
I have been watching my mom make these since I can't even remember. I was a young child. Okay.
The trick is not to overfill it.
Okay.
Because that gets a little messy.
So how do you know? A heaping tablespoon?
Yeah, a heaping tablespoon should do it. So what I do is I pick it up and pinch the middle together.
Kind of looks like a taco that you're going to pinch.
And then
close.
I pinch each corner so that the filling doesn't fall out while I'm finishing it.
Okay, she's rolled them out to about 4 inches in diameter.
They don't have to be perfect.
She's putting the meat mixture right in the center of the dough. Picking it up, it looks like a pierogi. In fact, perehe or varenica, it depends on whatever Eastern European nationality you are. And she's just going to repeat the exact same thing. So she's pinching it. It's kind of like a turnover or something like that.
And some people, vegetarians, you can use vegetables.
Mushrooms would be good.
Yes, mushrooms. You could use them, maybe with a little bit of shredded carrots, or you could even put some potato with it. You could put little pieces of sausage in it. You could do a little mixture of glazed onions.
You could even do fruit ones. You
could
do sour
absolutely.
Cherries, maybe?
When our cherries were in season,
right.
My mom used to make lovely little cherry, tasty little bites for us after we came home from school. It would be all ready and beautiful, and it was so exciting.
Now, she had 9 children to feed.
Yes, and her husband and herself.
And sometimes some of the workers on the farm.
Yes, often.
And company. That Grandpa would surprise her with and not tell her.
My father was the worst. My mom got surprised so many times with him coming home with people he had met, either at work or working, or from church. He'd be bringing people and their families over, and poor mother, of course, she didn't bake or do any great big huge cooking jobs on Sunday. It was all done on Saturday.
Because it's the Sabbath.
Because of the Sabbath, and they didn't like to do manual labor on Sundays. So when she had things like this ready, it was just perfect. Just pop them in the oven, put them on the table, and then she would make like fancy little dinner rolls and, all the cheeses. My parents made their own cheese very often. And
they made the best of what they had.
Absolutely. And with my mom, no one ever went home hungry.
Nor at my house.
On Saturdays, she would, peel potatoes and cut them into little tiny pieces. And if there were company coming, she would fry them up very quickly, and everybody got fed. Everybody was happy. I don't think anybody ever left her table hungry.
I sure did.
So that was kind of a policy I like to follow.
I loved to visit Grandma on the farm, Grandma and Grandpa. Grandma always had something special for me. She would say, "Hey, go look in the other room. We'll see something special for you." Yeah. And she'd have made me stollen or strudel or plots or something awesome with the fruits from the orchard. She was a dynamo. I don't know how she did it. I was the 27th grandchild, the youngest of 27. And boy,
she made you feel like you were number one.
She did.
Everybody felt like they were number one.
Yeah. Oh, I might want to point out here too, unlike pinch and closed ravioli or something like that, you do not use any liquid. No water for this. It won't stick.
The grease, any of the oils will leach out, and you won't be able to pinch it shut.
Okay, so you're just pinching the dough together. It's naturally going to stick together. Make sure that you have a very good seal, or you're going to have a kind of a mess on your hands. It's not very cool. Mm-hmm. You're going to be sad because it won't be as awesome as it could be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely right.
Okay, so Mom has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here done. It's pretty fast, right? She's an expert, but it shouldn't take too long for you. I'm going to move this meat out the way. Now, when you arrange them on the cookie sheet, I know you're very frou-frou. You like things to look pretty, whether you need to or not. Mom is very meticulous about how things look no matter when it is in the preparation. So when she does it, she makes beautiful like diagonal rows.
Well, you can get more on.
Yeah, you
get
can
more
fit more
on the sheet.
But wait, you put the seam side down, right?
Yes.
So explain that to them for me.
Yes, so that
Mom
the
just
seam
works-
stays closed. You put it on with the seam side down and line them up that way. And on this particular sheet, I can usually get 15.
Okay.
I don't know how I do it sometimes, but it does seem to work out that way.
Now they look like torpedoes, little torpedo shapes. And what you're gonna do at this point, after you've gotten all of them or like formed and filled and put on the cookie sheets, what you're going to do is you're going to do basically the same thing you did the first time that you let the dough rise. You have to let it proof again. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover these up again with the clean linen tea towels or cotton tea towels that are non-lint, no terry cloth stuff, no lint. Put it in a warm, draft-free area yet again. Allow them to rise, how long? The same amount of time?
Oh, no, they won't take as long as the first time. Probably half an hour max.
Okay, so
But if they don't rise that to double size, you got to wait a little longer. Be patient. Okay. But I'm hoping that these will come up within a half hour.
You never know how your baking is going to turn out because it's the atmospheric conditions on that particular day in the region that you are. So today, this is just how it's working out. These are going to double in size, roughly. And what you need to account for is them doubling in size and still having about 1.5 to 2 inches in between after they change in volume. Can you just fix that one for me? Thank you, Mom. So when you're organizing on the tray, make sure that you take that into account. Make sure you're keeping bench flour available so that you can do your thing.
Yes, you don't want this to get cold. That's the thing. You have to pretty well work as fast as you can. I mean, you're not on a schedule, but the idea is I can't keep more than 6 or so warm enough for my liking.
Okay, and so as soon as you're done one cookie sheet, cover it up right away, put it in the warm area.
Yes,
right?
Cover this up.
Now, Mom had her dough, her bowl of dough here, and she just took the towel off of that to put on here. But make sure you keep covering it back up to keep the remainder of the dough warm.
No, yes, can you give me another tea towel? Okay, you can cover that for me, can't you? It's nice to have someone help.
It's nice to be a sous chef for a day instead of having to...
I'm not very good usually at letting people help me. I must admit.
This has been like pulling teeth to get recipes down from her. She does most things by the way she feels. It looks, the way it feels. A lot of times Mom doesn't actually measure anything accurately. So
very little.
Getting this recipe for you is like an amazing breakthrough. It's a coveted recipe for our family. We fight over these. These are serious business in our family. The whole big family, the big picture. And any extended family that's been exposed to these feel the same way.
The recipe is kept in the safe.
It's kind of been a coveted recipe that no one really knows about. So you guys should feel very privileged that this is a historical recipe that's been passed down generation to generation in our family. Our family actually was German, but we came from a little Russian village in southern Russia called Kontinuesfeld. And my grandmother, grandfather, and their 3 youngest daughters came to Canada and started a life here.
Around 1925.
Wow. Grandpa was born when? 1901? 1901, and Grandma was born 1902? 4, sorry. That's wild, isn't it?
And my mom lived to be 96 years old.
So Grandma learned how to do these from her mommy?
From her foster mother. Her actually, at that time, often when the father wasn't in the picture, and when my mom was 3 years old, her father died of typhoid fever. And her mother, her biological mother, had a very hard time making ends meet and feeding all the children.
How many children was it?
Oh, she had 9 children also.
By herself.
Yes.
God, dog.
And
What a tough woman.
When she came home from working one day, the landlord had thrown all of their belongings out onto the sidewalk, and the children were sitting on the sidewalk crying.
Now, is this in Russia too?
Yes.
Okay.
And she didn't know what she was going to do with
So
her
she didn't
children,
know.
how she could feed them, how she could care for them, and provide what they needed.
So she didn't know. She came home from work and saw this scene.
Yes, children sitting there
How would
crying,
y'all feel today
wailing,
about that?
all her
Jeez.
belongings strewn all over. And so she had to give her children to foster parents. And my mother was placed with, she says, the most wonderful people she could have asked for. And one of her cousins was also placed in the same home. So
They grew up together as
yes,
sisters?
they grew up together, and fortunately the family who took them was not poor. They were very well cared for, and they had a lot of benefits that other children at that time just didn't receive. In fact, she was able to go to school, and when she came of the proper age, she was sent to live with a tailor, a woman who tailored clothes, and she learned a trade, which was sewing. And she was a marvelous seamstress
Now
and designer.
She designed and sewed for the entire
Yes.
family, everything
From
on them.
underwear to
and
coats.
tea towels and blankets, and she crocheted and she knitted
Embroidered.
and she embroidered and she was the most amazing home cook that I know of, other than my mommy.
Put up preserves. Everything we had on the farm was also canned, from all the fruit to the livestock, including chickens and
She even
pigs.
canned the
She
chicken and
canned fish also. And we never went without in the winter. I mean, if things were a little tough, she would go in the basement and pull out a chicken that she had canned. Or if she wasn't beyond taking the gun and going out and shooting a pheasant. And we had a lot of pheasants around.
Don't forget, reiterating the fact that she had 9 children and a husband and herself. Wow. So half the time she was pregnant, trying to do all this stuff too.
And
Grandpa worked on the farm. It was crazy.
She had a hard time.
It's amazing. And the stories that my mom tells, I'm so glad that she's talking and I'm just listening. I could have cut this off a long time ago, but I love to hear these stories. It's amazing the things that your family has gone through, the people that have brought you here. It's amazing the things that had to happen for you to actually be here today.
That's right.
It's amazing that you even were born. A twinkle in the eye of anyone with the things that people have to endure.
My father delivered every child except me. I was born in the Niagara Cottage Hospital. I was one of the first births in that little hospital on the main street in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Yes.
Wow. Niagara-on-the-Lake is Ontario, Canada.
Yes, Ontario, Canada.
Okay, so we're going to wrap this up. Mom's going to fill the rest of this
Turn that
cookie
on to
sheet.
400.
No, you need to prove. Oh, for 5. Tell them why. Tell them what's up. Come on.
We're just going to slowly keep the oven warm so that this stuff rises nicely.
So basically you turn it on to about 400. Can I just come over here? You turn it on to about 400 degrees and you allow it to heat up for what, like 2 minutes? Mm-hmm. Then you turn it off and then...
Let it cool a little bit.
Right.
In the meantime, these will just be on the cupboard, and then I'll put them in the oven. It'll be almost cold. I mean, body temperature for us.
Right.
Perfect.
You don't want them to bake in any way.
things.
You don't want to ruin anything. If your heat is too high, you could really ruin this.
whole
It'll be
thing.
like big meat-filled hockey pucks that you don't want to eat.
And, you know, my mom couldn't afford to allow anything to go wrong with her baking because often she only had enough flour and whatever she was using to actually make it happen. So away we go. We're going to cover this and let it rise.
We're covering it. We're letting it proof about 30 minutes. Make sure that you check out part 1 and go to the website, cookingwithkimberly.com. Go to youtube.com/cookingwithkimberly. Subscribe there. Like me on Facebook, facebook.com/cookingwithkimberly. Follow on Twitter @cookingwithkime. This is Kimberly Edwards and her mom, Ingrid Turner. Eat deliciously. Ciao. Bye.